Welcome to Dominica in the Caribbean. This movie will introduce you to a little bit of Dominica lifestyles, some examples of poverty in Dominica, and the Catholic school education system in Dominica. Bananas are our main crop export from Dominica. In Dominica, our most treasured and prized natural resources is our children. We treasure our children, and these beautiful children come from homes all over northern Dominica. Today they're having a march against drugs. However, in Dominica, our most treasured and prized natural resource is our young children, and youth, and young adolescents, and young adults. All would agree that this is our treasured and most wonderful prized natural resource. And as such, it becomes imperative that the education and training that they receive is par excellence, second to nothing in the world. Some youth in Dominica just don't fit in, don't make it, or are otherwise removed from our regular standard educational system. Calls is an institutional center in Portsmouth which accepts students that want a second chance to be able to learn, write, education, and receiving a training for a job. I will introduce you to some of the staff, some of the students, trainees at Calls, their daycare system, and we'll share a few stories of some of the students in Calls. However, to protect their identity, their pictures will not be in this movie, nor will their names. This is Mrs. Douglas, the director of Calls. She's been directing this program now for 15 years. And she not only directs the program, but she teaches some classes. She's the head nurse, and she does a lot of wonderful things. This is Mrs. Douglas. This is a classroom at Calls where students are learning to read and learning to write. They are being assisted by students at the medical school here in Portsmouth from Ross, who are helping these students on specific computer programs, one each tailored to their own level of learning. Most of these levels of learning in this particular classroom is at a very beginning level of what we would call a third grade level. We're very fortunate to have tutors come in to help teach these students how to read and write. These are Call students getting ready to have their pictures taken. These are Call students. These are Call staff members. This handsome dude here is Mr. Benjamin, this is Mrs. Andre, and this is Miss Prince. Yes, our most precious and valuable natural resource, the children. At Calls, single working mothers who cannot afford otherwise to leave the house are able to bring their children here. At Calls Daycare Center. I'd like you to meet Crystal Banis, who is the director of the Calls Daycare program. Crystal has special training to be able to take care of these young children, and she's joined by a staff of 3 other women. This is my neighbor. He's from Haiti. And he's my closest neighbor. And this is where he lives, and this is his house. Yeah. Yeah. So how are you today? Good. Good. Yes. Well, it's good to be with you. Yes. Oh, you're cooking? Oh, that looks good. Oh, yeah. You're cooking a meal. Yeah, this is good. Yeah. We have 3 students, new students from Haiti, and some of our students live in homes very similar to this, with no running water, heat, electricity, no toilet, no shower, and no stove. And this is the house of my second closest neighbor. There's a family of 4 living here. This is more typical of the house that many of our trainees at calls would live in. You notice the showers outside the house, no running water. This particular house does have a wire going into it, and so they have electric lights at least. However, it's crowded. And this is, I say, typical of more of the type of houses that our trainees would live in. This is the Portsmouth Secondary School. It differs from the Catholic schools partly because of the way it's managed and run. The Portsmouth Secondary School is under the direct supervision of the Minister of Education. And for example, the sign that they have painted here at the secondary school says, "Don't hit me, hit the road." Well, the Minister of Education, for example, has approved the caning of students. The Catholic schools are challenging this in their own schools and have changed it, so that we have instances such as St. John's School, Call's School, the convent school, leading the way and prohibiting any type of corporal punishments in the school. The English slave masters used to take sugarcane sticks and they would beat their slaves with them as a method of discipline. And so the cultural practice over the 400 years of the word caning came into existence, where during that time, of course, the slaves were severely beaten. And following the end of slavery, the practice of caning of students continued, not with sugar cane, but with belt whips as well as rulers. So it's rather ironical that the public school would put up this beautiful sign on the side of their building saying, "Don't hit me, hit the road," yet at the same time permit the caning as a method of discipline of their students. This is another huge factor behind poverty. In the prison presently, and some in the past, we've had parents, some of our children, that are attending schools at Calls and other schools. These parents of the children have been sentenced to prison for sexual abuse. One of our young students at Calls, when she was in her first communion dress at age 13, was raped by her stepfather. She has a baby. She's attending Calls. She's now out, not doing anything to support the child. We have another young boy that's attending Calls who, at the age of 2, had the bad experience that his father raped his older sister. When he reached age 14, his father was released from prison. Not having a father all that time and having been made fun of for the reasons that his father was in prison. In the prison that I'm showing you now, this section of the prison is what they call the maximum security section. It is a section of the prison that houses men in little 7 by 9 foot cells where they live 23.5 hours a day without electricity, with no running water, no lights, no toilets, no bed as such. They do have a soft little mattress of 2 inches thick of foam that they can sleep on. Subjected to mosquitoes, insects, rats, and they are here for extended long periods of time